Hello and welcome back to Angry Nor Gaming. I am once again your host, Kenny. I have my co-host and recurring guest in any order, gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm co-host. I'm Austin, aka Thatch.
And I am a recurring guest. I am Brendan.
So as I promised, I upgraded my character between videos, and you can just take a quick peek at the character changes in my stats that I made. I upgraded a lot of my vigor, endurance, and vitality to 15. I increased my strength a little bit for some extra damage, but that's pretty much it. This build is going to be really simple and just really focused on getting through the game. I gave myself enough dexterity to use the longbow, because we'll talk about all of the different ways you can sort of manipulate the difficulty of an encounter with just a little bit of patience and a longbow full of arrows.
I also updated my character, and you won't get to see that because I'm not recording and we're not cool guys with editing in order to put that together or anything.
We're getting better.
Say that again?
We're getting better.
We'll be there eventually, one day. But I'm actually, for the very first time, this is worth mentioning, that I'm doing a faith build and using miracles. So I started out as the cleric class. That's what I'm sort of aiming for. I've never done that before, so I just sunk a whole bunch of points into attunement, and that might be totally the wrong thing to do. I have no idea. This is going to be a learning experience.
And I am currently running with a just heavy tank build. I want to take a lot of I want to be able to take a lot of damage and not reflect it in my health pool. Yep. So I'm also using two-handed swords. Right now I'm using the katana for bleed damage and for extra length, but as soon as I get a great sword, I'm pretty much going with that.
Why don't you go ahead and summon me?
Okay, so
you
got your sign down on the screen and stuff?
Yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about how you actually interact with other players. And so to start this video, we're going to talk about what it's like to be a phantom and what it's like to help people beat their bosses. So Thatch has not beaten the Boreal Valley yet, but as you saw in the last video, I had, with their assistance. So I use an item called a white soapstone, and that will put a sign down, and all he has to do is touch it to summon me into his world, as you can see here. And you can see he's not animating properly because sometimes Dark Souls 3 really struggles with animation. But here's lag. Yeah, it's good old lag. That should normally fix itself here in a few seconds. But the big thing you want to notice right away, other than some visual differences between my character, you can go ahead and start the boss. Sure. Is that I have half as many Estus flasks as I would normally have. This is a big change from previous games, whereas in Dark Souls 1 there just was you got no flasks. In Dark Souls 2, I believe you couldn't use flasks, but you had life gems, so it didn't really matter. Oh, jeez, this thing makes me way too much. I'm gonna have to drop this to CERN.
Boss fight.
Yep. I'll be there. 1 sec. So, this is the Boreal Valley. You'll remember him getting dunked on pretty easily by us last week, or early this week. And this fight's going to go very similarly, but you'll notice that since I'm not the host, I can be a lot more reckless with my fighting of this guy, so I'm going to stay in front of him a lot more and try and hopefully keep him looking at me so Thatch, who is the host, can not worry about having to dodge the most attacks that he has.
I am the chosen one!
You are the chosen one. That's a little joke that we continue, that whoever's world is at the host, they are the chosen one, so you might hear me or Shamrock or Thatch at some point or another yell, protect the chosen one, in which case we drop, all defenses and just run to go and protect whoever's world we're in. Because if I die, nothing happens, really. I die and I lose my chance for souls and stuff from the boss, but if, as you see, I just died there.
Oh, no!
But
Wait, it's gonna be okay.
It will be okay. We'll talk about this in a sec, because I think this is really fun. If Thatch dies, we all lose. But because I died so close to the end of the fight, I'm still going to get the Ember, and I'm still going to get the 750 souls for helping beat Ward, which I think is absolutely hilarious.
Pro strats. We just saved frames on that death.
Awesome Games Done Quick, please take us. We aren't speedrunners, but...
Yeah, watch me beat Dark Souls 3 in 24 hours.
Yeah, man. That's not a record. But anyway, So while Thatch is getting himself to the bottom of the wall, like I was at the end of last episode, I wanted to take a moment, pull out these fine binoculars that I mentioned before, and just sort of take in the view from here.
Man.
First of all, gorgeous view. And
you know what I absolutely haven't gotten yet?
What?
The banner.
You should go get the banner, you dingus.
So I'm going to be a minute.
That's fine. That I can explain to the viewers. What's really great, and probably my favorite thing, hands down favorite thing about the Dark Souls series, and you'll hear any other YouTuber that talks about Dark Souls, especially Dark Souls 1, you'll hear them talk about it until they're blue in the mouth, about how one of the best things that Dark Souls ever did was you could look at a place and you would go there. You would be going there at some point. So everywhere that I'm showcasing here in my binocular zoomed in view, all of those buildings, those castles, those temples, that forest down there with the 3 firelit beacons, the wall of stone there, and this gigantic cathedral, all of these places we're going to go to. And all of these places are being shown to us at the end of the first official stage of Dark Souls 3, and are basically being said, hey, this is our promise. You're going to go to those places. Every single one of them, and every one is going to be different, and look different, and have different enemies, and different obstacles for you to overcome. And I really don't think that how awesome that feeling is, that feeling of adventure, can be overstated. What do you guys think about that overall?
Oh no, it's great. It's one of the most compelling parts of the game is that there's so much consistency in, like, one of the reasons why people will say that this game plays fair with you is that, you know, all of the enemies in the game have the same rules as you do, and the world is always consistent. It's always, you know, what you see is what you get. And that's not just them being, you know, they use that in a lot of ways, like you said, to preview things, but also to just say, you know, if you're observant, if you're careful, if you're slow and methodical and just take in your scenery,
yeah,
you'll get an up. You'll get an advantage.
All right, so here we are at the next area. We're at the foot of the wall. This was an item. It was a soul item. I grabbed it, forgetting to not grab the items of this area before I did a video about it because I'm really bad. So
it's just like candy. You just gotta pick them up.
Yeah,
you see them and you're like, oh,
you see the glowing thing and you're like, I want that. Mm-hmm. But so this is actually a really fun moment here coming up, where up ahead this gate is going to open, and well, apparently I'm going to get invaded by an enemy player.
Oh, we should talk about invasions.
Yeah, just like how I was summoned, you can get invaded by enemy players, and by enemy players I mean they're regular people, but you know they're being a baddie. And
they're playing the spoiler.
Yeah, they're being the rude dude of crude moves.
Too
Here,
weird.
stay up here.
Yeah, I'm gonna. So anyway, what you kind of missed, unfortunately, due to this invader, was the gate opening and unleashing this horde of dogs on the preying hollows that wanted to come into the village. And that's a really awesome, like, mini story moment, because it's not a story. Like, there's no overlaying, you know, narrative between the settlement that is the second stage and anything else. It's just a little fun little moment. I'll let you handle that while I explore the rest of this bridge.
It's a piece of the breathing world that is Dark Souls. I forget what the name of this world is, but
Lothric.
Lothric. Thank you. Yes, and it's you know, it's a cool little bit of things that you're fighting and enemies that you're encountering aren't just enemies. They are people and things with their own agendas, and so the hollows that you see are just kind of wandering around. You may not have gotten a good look at them. I don't know what happened in your world exactly, but you know, you get to see these, just like the prayers that don't fight you in the high wall. You get to see a glimpse of what these hollows do when you are bum rushing them with a sword. They just kind of stand around and don't do much, really. But that's characterization. It's cool. And apparently there's somebody that wants to kill them with dogs, so that's cool too.
Yeah, they unleash the dogs to sort of keep the rabble from coming into their town. So let's talk about this pilgrim, this one of the dozens of pilgrims that are on this bridge that are all distraught that the bridge is out, that they can't get across, that they can't go to the Holy Land. This one's still alive, so let's hear him say his words.
Then it's true. The champion of Ash, as I live and breathe. To be in your presence is a great honor. I am Yol of Londor, a pilgrim, as you can see, only somehow I failed to die as was ordained. Well, perhaps my calling lies elsewhere. Say, champion of Ash, how does the idea of taking me into your service strike you? I was once a sorcerer. Surely I can...
So we're going to accept Yol's service, and you can already tell that he has told us a little bit about what he will be doing for us.
Swear myself to you.
That he's from Londor, which is a little just fun little droplet of homage to the first game, because Londor was a place in the first game. Are you guys just like stancing off with each other up here? What's up?
Well, he's really bad. So I've just been dodging him this entire time. I figure if you wanted to summon Austin, you could show that how these fights work when it's 3-on-1, or show kind of the summoning while this entire thing is going on.
Don't make fun of our invader. He's trying his best.
Yeah, he's really trying to have an impact on this video. And what's his name? Spiker or something like that. Good for him. Good for him being a person on the internet.
My sign is down next to the lever that opens up the gate.
Oh, well, that's exactly where I just was. Anyway, so Yol of Londor is your first NPC opportunity that you'll see that there's a trend in this where they swear their service to you, and you saw him kind of like vanish in this like peaceful little wind and sound clip where he disappears and goes back to Firelink Shrine, and he mentioned that he's a sorcerer, so you think, oh man, this is my guy to teach me some sorceries, which he does, which is cool. We'll talk more about Yol of Londor near the end of the video, but for now, it's just good to know he was a person. He's now a buddy of ours, and he's he's a cool dude. Yeah. Also, Grat Spiker, I'm sure it was a really good duel. Ripperoonie.
It wasn't a good duel, but that's okay. He tried his best, and that's all you can do.
Yeah. Really. So, despite how kind of simple that was, there's actually another bonfire right here, and I think that it should be said that this is a sort of a bonfire out of I want to say out of respect or out of quality of life. So you don't have to go through that combat with the dogs again before you get to the meat that is the Undead Settlement, which is the stage we're in now. So, Thatch, you want to talk about sort of our environment and some new environmental hazards, like this darkness that we have to deal with?
Well, it's dark in this room. Oh, you want more than that? They hide these thralls in here who are some creepy, like, short and darkly toned enemies. They have sort of like most of their model is taken up by a cap. It's very dark. And they like to hide on the ceilings and the walls, and they'll drop on you. They're trap enemies. They'll spring on you if you're not paying attention. So you're probably going to walk into this room and get spooked on. And that's your entrance into this whole area, which is just kind of by its nature really creepy and ominous and spooky. And there's a lot of like tone going on here. And if you get into the lore a little bit, it totally makes sense, because the Undead Settlement is a village full of zombies, basically, like creatures like you who literally can't die, and they have no purpose in existence and no reason to be alive, but they can't do anything about it. So they are
just there being dead and really, really upset about it.
Yeah, and that's why you see them packed into cages, because they're going crazy and they don't know what to do, so they just ram a bunch of them into
cages and hope for the best. But I do like how you mentioned that this first like barn or building or whatever you want to call it, all of the combat in there, which I unfortunately didn't showcase because I was too busy running around grabbing treasures, it does really, really well sort of line up that we're going to ambush you a lot, and you need to be ready for that.
Yeah.
And to sort of starkly contrast to that first encounter, you're greeted with this open field with more enemies than you've ever seen up to this point in the game in one view. But they're all here, and they're all crowding around this big, like, shiny person sitting in a tree. So there's a lot of ways to approach this encounter, but I'm going to talk about the two main ways. Two main ways is you can look to the right and go, well, there's no one over there, so we can just walk away. But we're going to go to the left because this is this treasure.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at this body, we get Loretta's Bone, which, if you remember from Grey Rat, he was like, give this ring to Loretta. Well, we just found Loretta, and she's dead.
Hey, you want to see a cool trick?
Yeah.
Firebombs.
Oh, man, almost as if in the last stage, they taught us the lesson that the big barrels there with the covered tops are gunpowder. So if we throw fire, oh wow! Would you look at the game is teaching me how to overcome its future encounters. Sorry, I don't mean to sound so like messed up, but God, this game's brilliant. So we're gonna run this big, slow honker of an enemy around while we kill all of our little buddies. Unfortunately, she's not going to stand much of a chance. But this is an evangelist, and she is actually really terrifying if you're by yourself, because her attacks are big, sweeping.
I hate evangelists.
They're probably the most difficult enemy in this entire stage. There's only a couple of them, so it's not like you get a lot of opportunity to learn their movesets. But some of the best treasures in the stage are locked behind encounters involving them, which is fun because she was guarding Estus Shard, unlocking the ability to have more Estus flasks at the same time, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Another thing that was just sort of set up by the dynamics of the two encounters that we just walked through. First, that barn filled with jump scares, basically. And then walking into this big open area filled with villagers, it sets up that villagers are really not very threatening at all. You didn't get to see it because there's three of us and we used firebombs pretty effectively in that fight, but they go down in 3 hits maybe, and they attack really slow and they're easy to stack. Like, they're just not threatening.
Right, but
the thralls are tricksy.
The thralls are tricksy, and you can't ignore the villagers. Like, you can't just take them for granted and ignore them in fights. You have to deal with them. But again, yeah, they're really something to be like regarded, not respected as an enemy.
Yeah.
So we're here in the stables, and we're actually gonna, I realize we're getting a little too deep into this stage already because of the stuff that we wanted to cover this episode. So let's go ahead, go back to the tree here. And you guys can just throw yourself off this cliff, because there's stuff back at Firelink that has happened that we should talk about. And try and go ahead.
We should probably explain why we have to throw ourselves off the cliff, too.
Yeah.
As opposed to just go kill yourself, which is, in all honesty, is the best suggestion here.
Yeah.
That's a good point. So, you may have noticed I lit the bonfire earlier, but I was not able to sit at it because I have phantoms in my world. If you have friendly or not friendly phantoms in your world, you cannot rest at bonfires. So, there is the Black Separation Stone item, this one right here, that enables you to send phantoms back to their worlds. But there is a hidden system in the game where if you use the Black Separation Stone to send someone home, it sort of begins to deprioritize syncing you up with that person in the future, because they assume that you use the crystal to indicate that you had a bad experience with that player, which is a reasonable system, but unfortunately it lends to people having to black separate their friends, and that causes issues trying to play with your friends in the future. Are you guys both dead?
Yep.
I can't rest.
Is there an enemy around you?
I don't think so.
Are you bad at Dark Souls?
I might be bad at Dark Souls, but I didn't think I was that bad at Dark Souls.
You still invaded?
No. But anyway, continuing on that point, it kind of just... What's nice about you having to be phantom free? Yeah, I can't rest at bonfires. Screw it. I'll throw myself off. That's of course the old reliable method of circumventing that issue is to just throw yourself off a cliff. But you lose your ember, so it's not exactly an ideal thing to do. So let's go back to Firelink because we have some stuff to do. We need to talk to Yol, talk about what he's going to do for us as an NPC, and we need to talk about having the news of Loretta, rather, for Grey Rat. So, we'll be able to talk to Grey Rat first, because he's in a much more intuitive part of Firelink Shrine. He's just right there, past the blacksmith. So you talk to him.
Oh, hello, your band in one piece.
So he's a nice little chap. He's obviously very, very nice to you. You can purchase from him like you always could. He sells a bunch of nice little items. A nice array of consumables, further little set of lighter hand weapons, some shields, and 2 sets of armor. Or 1 set of armor and some arrows. You can also sell items at him. I don't think there's any numerical difference between selling stuff to him or selling stuff to the Handmaiden. And you can give him Lorettas Bone to further his questline.
She was already dead.
And unfortunately, it's bad news.
Almost a relief, really.
But he takes it with a lot of stride and says that you can keep the ring. Unfortunately, if you talk to him for the next little while of the game, he's awfully distraught about Loretta's death. I don't believe it's actually said anywhere who Loretta was to him, but clearly someone of importance. So you make your way from him back up the stairs, and then you notice that from this little candle over here, what's this? A little side path. Well, isn't that neat? And down the side path, boom, Yol.
Oh, our champion of Ash.
So he calls you a champion.
Welcome.
Go ahead.
It's one of those... Oh, sorry.
No, please.
Talk over. It's one of those pieces of...
Deserves to behold this.
It's one of the reasons why they make... that they make the home area so complex, that are so interesting, because it's pretty easy to find an NPC, summon them back to your world, and then not be able to find them at Firelink for a good few visits.
So let's talk about what Yol does for us. So Yol gives us a gesture, which we'll learn as we play through the game is a pretty common thing that NPCs will give us gestures. You can talk to him. He will say the same sort of stuff about drawing out your strength and teaching you sorcery. Talks about the dark sign. So let's talk about the dark sign, because it's a thing that's in your inventory. It's been in your inventory since Dark Souls 1. And it's a homeward bone that makes you die. You lose your souls and return to the bonfire, whereas the homeward bone is a consumable item where the dark sign is unlimited usage. And there's a slightly different animation for using it. But so he has something to talk about when it comes to this dark sign business. So he will let you draw out your true strength, and this takes the form of a free level up at no cost. We're going to go ahead and decline him because, well, you know what? If you want to know about the Yol storyline, do yourself the favor and look up Yol's storyline on the Dark Souls wiki. It'll tell you everything. And I don't want to perchance spoil stuff, because otherwise I'm just going to sit here and talk with the whole thing.
But there's like no reason not to draw out true strength.
There is, because you get ugly and hollow.
Oh, right, fashion souls. Excuse me.
So he sells you a nice array of starting spells. The Soul Arrow spell, which you've had available to you already. The Heavy Soul Arrow, which is a more powerful and more difficult to learn spell. Magic Weapon, which lets you enchant your weapon with the magic attribute or the magic element, and Magic Shield, which makes your shield more powerful. And by powerful, I mean it has a higher stability stat, which is important for resisting stronger blows against your shield. Gentlemen, any thoughts?
Unfortunately, I'm not there. I've missed a lot of the items in High Wall of Lothric, including Grey Rat, so I am actually back there right now getting my Tokus whooped by a Spear Knight.
Gotcha. Let's go ahead and give Andre those Estus flasks that we have.
Oh, yeah.
Or Estus shards, rather. So now we have 6 flasks. Now, those keeping up with simple arithmetic at home will know that that means that we can now have 3 flasks if we are in another player's world, which will vastly improve our ability to not die. So, with us going back to the Undead Settlement, that will end us for tonight's episode. I didn't want to. I don't think any of us meant for that episode earlier this week to be almost an hour long, and let's try and keep them short. So, you guys have any other closing statements for tonight? Things that we covered that we should share?
Nope. Unless we think of some. I mean, I'll think of 10 things as soon as we hang up the call. But
Naturally.
You know.
Well, only saying that I don't think I might going to be here for the next episode, but I will say that the Undead Settlement, which you are at, is one of my favorite level designs in this, and you'll find a lot of symmetrical beauty going through the entire level as you progress. But that's for...
I was going to say that's a very good point, and we'll try and point those out as we go through the encounters and the aspects of this very wide, very diverse. There's so many paths to go through Undead Settlement, and we'll probably have to take 2 or 3 more episodes to talk about the entirety of this place, because the Undead Settlement starts to talk about the more advanced and complicated methods in which you're going to have to navigate future zones. We're going to talk about having to come back here with more items that we unlock earlier in the level that we have to go back to Firelink to utilize. Anyway, we'll talk about it then, but for now, thank you for joining us. This has been Angry Nord Gaming, and Kenny, Thatch, and Shamrock, or Brennan say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.